Stay with us for that.
Our other top story tonight, the clock is ticking. A little more than 2 days to go before the UAW's contract with the big three automakers expires. UAW says if a deal isn't done, they plan to strike.
UAW President Shawn Fain met with all three companies, apparently personally, over these past 24 hours.
And right now, it is not appearing like there is the kind of progress the union wants. Let's bring in business editor Rob Maloney for the very latest. And there really are a lot of moving parts here, Rob.
Yeah, as we speak, Shawn Fain is doing another of his famed Facebook updates. Stellantis made another economic counterproposal this morning, and he is no doubt addressing that in his update. A source close to the talks tells Local 4 there is so much activity right now, it's impossible to keep up with, but apparently the UAW appears ready to give a little bit on its pay demand. So there's movement apparently on both sides. That said, the UAW isn't thinking that there's a tentative agreement in sight. And as we look over the landscape here, it turns out there's a lot of history repeating itself. Shawn Fain appeared last night on the Working Families Party summer rally.
The sad irony in this is our tax dollars bail these companies out, and at the end of the day, the workers make all the sacrifices, and then they get left behind.
And it turns out this is the exact same complaint giving rise to the United Auto Workers in the first place during the 1937 GM Flint sit-down strike, says auto industry expert Dr. Joshua Murray of Vanderbilt University.
I would lean toward there's going to be a strike.
Because today's post-bankruptcy profits largely mirror these scenes that came after the Depression ended.
There were furloughs, layoffs, cuts in benefits, cuts in wages, and they saw that as part of this is what we do when there's trouble in the auto industry. But by 1936, profits had come back to GM, and what you heard was this isn't fair. They've got their profits back. They're not giving us back what we sacrificed.
Murray wrote the book Wrecked, How the American Auto Industry Destroyed Its Capacity to Compete. He reminds us all the auto industry is dramatically different today, especially when it comes to domestic three market share. It's down to roughly 42% from its historic high of more than 90% in 1965, meaning the union may not be as strong as its rhetoric portrays.
Cars aren't produced the same as they used to be, and so I don't know that that leverage is there. Now, maybe striking against all three gives them similar leverage, but I'm not exactly sure. My hunch is that there's a little bit less leverage than they've had, and that makes it difficult.
Difficult because the companies are not likely to agree to a lot that will hurt them competitively, like restoring pensions or a 32-hour work week. He also says, in retrospect, the 2019 GM strike didn't really move the needle much, as the union ended up agreeing to largely the original offer GM made after 6 weeks on the picket line.
So we've reported, of course, on the GM authorization strike vote. What do we know about actual preparations for a strike?
In the union halls all across the country, they're already getting the picket signs ready. They're talking about also how they're going to get their strike pay. In other words, you have to register to get your strike pay and things like that. There are day-long rallies all this week at very large locals across the country as well, and we're likely to see that happen here in Metro Detroit. So it's one of those situations where they're ready if they have to be.
Right. We'll be seeing here what kind of indication we get from Shawn Fain here, which we think is it should be going on right about now. We'll see if the trash can shows up again, of course.
It's already
he likes
over.
his
Yeah, so much more to come.
All right, Rob, thank you.